Hi, everyone. Good morning to those on the West Coast and good afternoon to those on the East Coast. Today's session, we're going to focus on really the four themes of the changes that TM1 10.2 provides. We're going to take a look at the new and improved capabilities that span across the board. We're going to take a look at the speed and the performance gains that come with this new release. We're going to look at changes within the engagement with the end users and how that's been improved by advances in mobile contribution and Excel. And we'll take a look at the introduction of scorecarding and metrics, all built within the same application framework. At the end, as Jesse said, we'll take any questions. We'll try and answer as many questions as possible that come up. So please feel free to type them in as we're going along. And so with that in mind, let's begin. Okay, so along with the many improvements to the existing platform, there are also many new and exciting features included in this release. And these changes can be viewed through the lens of four pillars. The first of which is performance, second is measurement, engagement, and then finally deployment. When we talk about performance, we're really talking about execution points. There have been significant improvements in with query processing, LAN performance, and web performance. And we're going to be going through each one of these pillars in more detail today. From a measurement perspective, scorecarding and metrics are the big item in this release. This will allow new or existing customers to further leverage their investments or to take on an initiative that's really growing in popularity. From an engagement perspective, this new release engages the entire user base. There's different UIs within TM1 really provide something for everyone, whether it's the Excel guru to the web user, the mobile user, and everyone else in between. And last but not least is deployment. And there have been some significant enhancements in this area, taking advantage of the new technologies that are available, specifically around cloud offerings. Before we dive into the details, I wanted to take a moment to take a quick step back and look at the big picture. You're going to hear me say this quite a few times today. This release is big. There's a lot of enhancements and improvements made to the overall solution. Central to the platform is the OLAP server. This is really the heart of TM1, and surrounding it are all the tools and interfaces you would ever need to build your FDM application. For the third-party application builders, if you want to be able to extend or automate the capabilities of TM1, there's the API and services layer. For server administrators, there have been significant improvements in the operations console. And for the power users and business owners, there have really been a lot of improvements and enhancements to performance modeling, making it much easier to define and deploy applications and workflows. And as you know, when it comes to end users, there's really no one size that fits all. And so what IBM has done is provided a number of different end user tools that are designed to meet the specific needs of each user and provide them with that rich interactive experience that's both fast and accurate. When you take a look at the outline of the capabilities that the TM1 platform brings, you can see that really every part of the platform is being affected by these themes. And what IBM has done is really allowed you to do more with greater ease. Okay, so let's dive into each of the details, or each of the themes. We're going to start off with performance. Some of the performance improvements in TM1 span from changes to the service query processing capabilities and to changes within the architecture and the client technology. Some of the big things really that previously it was all single-threaded. There was one core was utilized per query. It didn't really matter how complex it was. Now, single queries that are executed against the TM1 server, these are all multi-threaded. And this really allows you to utilize the entire CPU capacity. This has shown dramatic improvements in query execution times, specifically for large non-complex queries. We've seen nonlinear gains nonlinear gains have been recorded when compared to the number of assigned cores. There's also been improvements in cell level security. So now cubes can use a reduced number of cells to assign security. And again, this helps to improve performance. And furthermore, there have been a number of new functions that have been added to Turbo Integrator. There really are too many enhancements to put onto a single slide, but I'm going to focus on the three most important ones. Multi-threaded queries, we've already kind of addressed this a little bit, but like I said, in prior versions of TM1, all queries were single-threaded. This release removes that limitation and allows you to take advantage of modern hardware, which allows reports, dashboards, charts, etc. to update faster than before. The TM1 web architecture, as you know, you may already know this, but prior to this release, TM1 web was dependent on a number of Microsoft components, IIS, .NET, etc. This new release removes that restriction by having a pure Java-based web platform. So for those of you out there that are standardized on non-Microsoft hardware, you now no longer forced into having this one standalone Microsoft web server. Really, the great gain here is Java has resulted in significant performance gains. When we take a look at WAN performance, prior versions of TM1 really left a lot to be desired. In a lot of cases, customers had to resort to Citrix to bypass performance. Now, by the introduction of Cafe as the Excel-based interface and TM1 Web being purely Java-based, this has reduced the amount of bandwidth that's being used and really has opened you up to more opportunities. So again, great enhancements, great performance, and a reduction in the infrastructure are the key components of this theme. It allows your users to work efficiently and nimbly regardless of location. When we talk about measurement, which is our second theme, we're really talking about scorecarding and metrics. And scorecard initiatives are growing in prominence in all industries. And in fact, just this year, Gartner reported this as a top agenda for CFOs. This new release allows you to simply add integrated metrics and scorecards into every contributor's workspace. With Performance Modeler, you can now model and deploy powerful integrated metrics and scorecards into the same environment that you used to model and create your plans, budgets, and forecasts. It really does allow you to extend scorecarding and strategy management capabilities to all levels of the enterprise. If scorecarding is something that you have on your horizon or you're thinking about but have on the back burner, TM1 10.2 allows you to leverage your existing investment to bring this closer. A lot of times people would would hold off on scorecarding because it required a separate third-party product. Now you don't have to worry about that anymore. Everything you need, from defining your scorecard, to managing it, to populating it, to reporting on it, is all contained within one single product. Take a quick look here at a sample screenshot of the scorecarding capabilities. You can see that you can now create scorecard solutions that contain interactive impact diagrams, strategy maps, and custom diagrams that you can monitor your key performance indicators. All of the time, the underlying data is stored in Cognos TM1, and as a result, can be published to all the different interfaces, whether it's Insight, TM1 Web, or Cognos Workspace. And these are not flat charts or flat images. They are interactive dashboards. So what does this mean to you? It enables seamless visibility across the spectrum of performance management. It allows you to drive operational efficiencies and lower the total overall cost of ownership across your performance management solution. Okay, so I'm going to jump across now and show you a quick example of the scorecards. Okay, so what we're taking a look at over here is the workflow that you use to create a scorecard. This is inside a Performance Modeler, and you can see it really does step you through the process. First, you're going to create your metric dimension and your indicator dimension. Then you create your metrics cube. Once you've done that, you can create your impact diagram and any custom diagrams if you'd like. And finally, you can create your strategy map or balanced scorecard. So I'm going to jump into one that's already been done to give you a couple of examples, show you what it looks like. That's a dimension. Let's go to the cube. All right, so here's a sample of what the cube looks like. And for those of you that are familiar with TM1, you can see it's the same look and feel, so you don't have to worry about learning any new technology or any new way to interact with it. It's all very easy to use and really lowering your ramp up, your learning curve. So some of the great advantages here, you've obviously got your trend indicators, your status indicators, etc. These are all visible directly within here. You have the ability to rotate and drag and drop just like you would with any normal cube view. So a metric scorecard in and of itself is great, but it's really the impact diagram that gives you the visibility into how each metric drives the next one. I'm going to double click real quick here on the metrics diagram, just give you a quick preview of what it looks like and show you how easy it is to define this and to modify it. So if we take a look over here, we can see our profit before allocation is driven by total net revenue, etc. And you can see here the closing customer base drives my base maintenance revenue. Well, I'm going to add 3 metrics that drive my closing customer base. So you can see here we've got our closing customer base as our focus metric. There's all the other metrics that have been defined. And it's literally a drag and drop. So I'm going to take my opening customer base, drag and drop, new customer base, and customers not renewing, and put that in here. And then my nature of impact, opening customers, new customers, I want that to be positive. My customers not renewing needs to be a negative impact. And with a few mouse clicks, I can now view how my impact diagram and see how that changed it. So there's my maintenance revenue down here. And now I've got 3 other metrics that are driving my closing customer base. So you can see once you have your drivers defined and your metrics defined, creating these impact diagrams is really just a few mouse clicks away. Okay. Strategy maps is the next one that I'm going to show you really quickly. So this is the balanced scorecard. It's really broken out into 3 components. You have your perspective. Each perspective has a set of objectives. Each objective then has the individual metrics that make up that objective, right? And you can define connections between these. So, for example, if you want to grow revenue, you need to reduce expenses, you need to grow your customer base, and you need to decrease your discount. So you can define these connections in your screen over here. And finally, take a look at the preview of this. You can see how your scorecard, your balanced scorecard, is now being presented to you. And again, you can now scroll through any of the different dimensions to see how each one is doing overall. So really quick, really easy to define your metrics and your impact diagrams and strategy maps that go with it. Now, one of the things that we mentioned is these can be deployed into any of the different views. So whether it's perspectives, we can take a look at, I'm sorry, not perspectives, Cognos Insight. You can see here how we can view that same the same impact diagram in Cognos Insights, right? We can view the balanced scorecard, and you can set these up and make them as pretty as you like. I really just put these on to quickly show you how you can view them in here. We also have the ability to view it in TM1 Web. So if we take a look, here's TM1 Web. Oh, sorry. Let me jump to it. Let me go up to the right application. It timed out on me, unfortunately. Okay. So without having to rewrite anything, without having to do any special coding, these views or these diagrams are available to me in all the different UIs, whichever one I'd like to use. So we can see strategy map, we can see impact diagrams, and again, we can see the metrics cube that's driving each one behind it. Okay. The next theme that we're going to take a look at is engagement. And this is really, how do you satisfy the diverse needs of users, whether it's Excel jockeys, administrators, business users, whichever type of user. How do you engage them and encourage them to make the most use out of your performance management system? So as we dive into this, this is really where you're going to see most of the changes. This is really the most visual component of it. And we're going to discuss each of the different UIs and some of the enhancements within each one. Most users tend to gravitate towards Excel. And leveraging Cafe for TM1 provides a rich user experience for this community. Cafe provides users with common Excel experience for both TM1 and BI content. It allows you to analyze the data, explore the data, and also input. It gives you access to all of the TM1 objects. So everything that you've created in Performance Modeler are available to you in Cafe. And it also gives you a formula-free mode. So in the past where you had to worry about long, deeply convoluted Excel formulas, that now has been removed, and you can actually just type values straight into your cells. For the lighter users, those people working at a top-level forecast or a top-level report, is Cognos Mobile. IBM really did a great job here of listening to the user community and to the executives, and have provided this interface that not only allows you to view read-only reports, but also to perform high-level analysis and also provide input into the workflow. Contributor for the iPad provides a full status view for approvers. It gives you value and status updates in real time, and has some enhanced visualizations that really are appealing to the users. For the analytic user community, there's Cognos Insight. It provides users with the ability to do desktop modeling. It allows you to do offline planning, so you can actually take your slice of the data and work on it, disconnect it from the server, make your changes, and then upload it at a later date. It allows you to do what-if exploration, so the same sandboxing capabilities are there. There's been some great enhancements in the visualization and the reporting, and it also gives you the ability to extend with local data. So if you've got your own spreadsheet that you want to add in, you can easily do that. And last but not least is TM1 Web, and this provides users the ability to build TM1 templates using familiar Excel formats and objects, and allows you to build custom formats while retaining that same worksheet familiarity. Really, the big change with TM1 Web is the enhancement that IBM has made, which was the removal of the constraints of IIS and provided a pure Java application. And this has dramatically improved performance. I just wanted to quickly point out that I'm not going to be talking about Perspectives or Architect. Those products are still available, but they haven't gone away, but there haven't really been any significant changes to those. So we're going to be focusing in on the improvements and the changes of the application. Okay, so Cognos Analysis for Microsoft Excel, otherwise known as Cafe. Out in the real world, I'm sure you guys are familiar with this. 80-odd% of management reports that have been created by finance that are being used are created using spreadsheets. Excel is the primary business application for a lot of reporting that's taking place today, and you don't want to necessarily move users away from that. IBM has recognized this and is deeply invested in ensuring that the user experience within Excel is fast, it's accurate, and it's easy to use. And Cafe allows users an easy Excel interface into both TM1 and BI data, and allows them to create reports in their own layout, and at the same time, it still allows them to enter data into the budget. Okay, so I'm going to take a quick side step here and give you a brief introduction into Cafe. Hopefully it hasn't timed out.
And as you're doing that, Steve, do you want to just briefly talk about perspective and perspective status and TM1 perspectives? So, still there. It's still there and available. This release is introducing Cafe and a lot of new Excel capabilities that are brand new with this new tool, Cafe. But perspectives, for all you perspective fans out there, is still there. Hasn't changed much in this release.
Correct. And all of your reports that you've currently built using perspective will still continue to function. It's not like those are going to break or you're going to have to rebuild those. Okay. Great. Thanks. Great add. Thanks, Jesse. Okay. So what we're taking a look here is a quick couple of sample layouts and views that you get within Cognos analysis for Microsoft Excel. On the left-hand side here, we have our navigation pane. So you have the ability here, oops, wrong one, to scroll through all of the cubes and views that are being created. So you can easily select what you want to put on your report. Right. Once you selected a cube, you get access to all of the views that have been defined, and if you've created any private views, those are there too. And then each of your dimensions that are available or that are part of that cube. Hierarchy, subsets, etc. All of these are available for you to use inside of Cafe. I'm going to take a quick look at the different layouts. What we're looking at here is a list view. So this is pure rows and columns. You'll see we have the ability to net and group columns together. You have your tiles up at the top that allow you to rotate the layout and change what you're looking at. So if we wanted to look at another set of products, instead of, let's say for example, we didn't want to look at those three, we can click on OK, and that's going to update the report for us right away. So hopefully it hasn't timed out on me. Right, so we can see there now we just have the two products. In addition to the list view, we also have a crosstab view. All of these reports are read-write, so you'll see here we've got the grayed out cells, so these are coming in as predefined calculations. You also have the white cells, which allow you to then go and enter data into the report, and obviously this is going to go back into TM1, into the cube. As a crosstab, you get your rows, your columns, and your context. So again, you can drag and drop and change these around as much as you like. You have the ability to create sandboxes. So all of that functionality that you were used to with Perspective is still available in here. Custom calculations, adding in columns, etc. All of that is available to you. The last piece that I'm going to show you, and again, I'm going through this relatively quickly. There's lots of features and functionality that's here. We just really don't have time to go through all of it. But I wanted to show you the third view, which is called a flex view, and this allows you to put multiple reports or multiple views of a cube onto a single sheet. So I'm going to show you how quick and easy that is, and say, come down to net revenue. I'm going to right-click on it and say add as flex view. And what this is going to do is put the report on here for me, and now I can see, two different views at the same time. When we were talking about formula-free modes, you'll notice here, let me just make sure I change my refresh data on value change. Say OK, right? If I want this to be January instead, I'll spell that correctly, and hit enter, you can see the numbers are changing straight away. So don't have to worry about complicated formulas, don't have to worry about anything along those lines. I can just type it in and it'll go straight in for me. Some of the other adds that we have in here are things like copying and pasting. So you can copy and paste values from one set of cells to another one. You can use standard Excel formulas to calculate values, and those will get written back into the cube for you. Okay, let's jump back to our slide presentation. So, I was able to hit on some of the major items. You can see here all of the additional features that have been added. But if we take a look, really, what do we see? So the ability to view TM1 data, we can look at it as either a cross-tab or a list, or the flex view. You have the ability to write back, so that is obviously paramount importance to TM1 applications. And like I said, one of the great advantages here is you can actually use Excel formulas to calculate the values and have the value written back. Within the flex views, you have the formula through direct access and the ability to type in names. And one of the new adds that you have here too is something called asymmetrical nesting. So this allows you to have greater control over the layout of your report. So you can now have a report that shows you the actuals for last year with the forecast for this year, and not have to worry about a whole bunch of zeros being displayed. Okay. So, mobile iPad for the or the mobile client for the iPad. This is a great example of how IBM has expanded the range and the types of users. The iPad app gives you the ability to view and approve submissions without being tied to your desk or laptop. And the great thing here is that you don't need any special report development to take advantage of this app. All of your existing views, your approval hierarchies, your applications, etc., those are all available for you directly from the mobile client. So, create it once, consume it in multiple places. Take a quick look at some sample screenshots of the mobile interface. And this gives you the ability, this interface gives you a number of capabilities, such as being able to track status and review and annotate your the budget and submit for approval or approve stuff that's in the workflow. You get visual clues into data that's changed, so you can see the different colors there. Shows you which numbers have been modified. And you're not stuck with the view that has been created. You have the ability to reorientate the dimensions, so you can drag and drop them around, and so you can set up a view that makes more sense to you. Okay. So this really does enable plan review and contribution for mobile professionals. So those that are out on the road that want to be able to access their data, they can get to it easily from a iPad. One thing I did want to point out here really quickly is that this is a different app to the Cognos BI app. It is available from the App Store, so if you go and take a look for TM1 Contributor, you'll be able to download it and take a look. Okay, Cognos Insight. This is really, they made some great strides here in improving the interface to Cognos Insight. There's a number of new visualizations, and you get rich navigation capabilities. You get the ability to drill down and through to different views of data. They've added some enhanced spreading options that previously weren't there. And you now have contributor-only and reviewer-only views. So you can set up individual views for Insight, depending on your role, that will give you those views that are specific to that user type. I've already mentioned this once before, but I think it's a really great add. You have the connected and distributed modes. So this allows you to take your slice of data as a contributor and work on it either directly against the server in real time, or take your slice offline and go and work on it and then submit it at a later date. One thing I did want to point out with the distributed mode is that it is aware of all of the security features and the slices that you've worked with, so it only brings down the smallest amount of data that's required for you to do your job. So it's not like you're pulling down the entire cube, it's just your individual slice. You also get the ability now to print and export your workspaces, which is a great feature. And really what the goal for the changes to Cognos Insight is to encourage your user community to get the most out of the PM system. Right? It's the way that they're going to be interacting with it the most, and they really, IBM really wanted to do a lot to make sure that they engaged the users here and made it easy for them to access the data content. So, quick slide of a couple of screenshots of what the Insight client looks like. Some of the other features that have been added is in the enhanced layout is you now snap to grid, so you no longer have to eyeball if things are lining up. It'll just snap it to the grid. You have the ability to create combination charts, and you can now view scorecards. And like I showed you a little bit earlier, that you've defined in Performance Modeler, you can now display them in your Cognos Insight app. You can also take advantage of attributes. So if you've defined attributes in the cube or in TM1, you can use them as filters or as display options. Okay, and this really does give you the ability to do rapid application development. So it's quick, it's easy, it's all drag and drop, and allows you to build these applications in a fast manner. Okay, so let me show you another couple of examples of Cognos Insight. Where's that guy? So typically the way that you would get there is you'd come in from your application over here. I'm going to drill into my revenue target setting, and I'm going to right click on the hyperlink. You see it's going to bring up three options, and from the Performance Model you can control which one of these are, or which of these options are available to the user. But you can open it up in distributed mode. So like I said, take the slice offline, go and work on it. You'll notice that Cognos Insight Connected is bold, so that's the default. So if I just click on the link, it's going to bring me up into Cognos Insight in a connected mode, or I can open this up on TM1 Web. So I'm going to open it up in Cognos Insight. So normally I click on there, but for the sake of time and not having to worry about connectivity, I have it already opened it, and you can see here how you can view your, you can set up your views so that you can look at them in the normal cross-tab layout that you're familiar with from Perspectives or Performance Modeler. So, very familiar look and feel. So that is still available to the users. You have the ability in here to drill down. Oops. Let me come to target prices over here. And you can see we have spread. So there's the new options in here to give you the ability to spread the data. The normal rotate and drag and drop, that's all available here for you to use too. So very easy, very quick and interactive for the users. But if you want to set up some more dashboard type reports, you can use the same components, the same views, but put them into the dashboard over here and have them linked together. So when I click over here on products, right, it's going to change both of my views on the right here. Let me show you how easy it is to add a new item. So I'm going to click up here. Now you can see on the right over here is your navigation pane. So you can go and drag any of these objects that you like onto your page. But I'm going to add an explore point for cities. Explore point for cities. And I'm going to drag and drop it, put it over here. So you can see the snap to grid coming in. I don't know if you were able to see that. You can see the little line that's going to show me how it lines up. You can see it on the left and at the top. And a simple drag and drop, and I can now use these context filters to change the views of my dashboards. Okay. Again, lots more feature and functionality, lots of ways to make it a lot more visually appealing. I just wanted to show you some of the core concepts that have been added in here today. Okay. TM1 Web. So as I've already mentioned, in addition to some of the new visualizations and conditional formatting, really the greatest improvement over here is speed. And this has been accomplished in a couple of different ways. The first was by removing the Microsoft IIS and server-side Excel. So those requirements are now gone. The second, which is a direct result of that, is the Java-based client. And this client is now aware of which cells have been altered, and instead of sending an entire page back to the server and refreshing an entire page, only the cells that have changed are moving up and down the network. So if we take a look at this example over here, we've got approximately 200 odd cells that are visible. We've changed 20 of them, right, through a data spread. And instead of this entire page going back and down across the pipe, only those 20 cells that have changed are moving. So that results to about 8% of the visible cells, which, if you take a look at it in this context, that's 92% less traffic that's going up and down the network, right? So this really does both improve performance, allows you to have a larger concurrent user base, and reduces the requirement to use Citrix when you have multiple dispersed sites. Okay, performance modeler. So this is really where the application is built, and IBM has made some great strides in simplifying the user experience here when it comes to defining the budgeting and planning process. For those of you that are currently on EP and are thinking about moving across to TM1, they now have a migration utility that will assist you with that migration and will ease some of your pain in moving across. A lot of the previously code-intensive tasks, such as rules and feeders, that's all taken care of automatically for you, so you don't have to worry about wading through lines and lines of code and making sure you set your feeders up correctly. Performance Modeler manages that for you and automates it for you. You can now create links and turbo-integrated processes to move values between cubes or even within cells. You have the ability to now do in-cell calculations. And we're going to I'm going to show you a few more of those once we actually get into Performance Modeler. Another great feature of Performance Modeler is the ability to create, to auto-create, I should say, data flow diagrams. So if you ever trying to explain to someone how data is moving from one space to another space, or you want to use it for yourself to understand why you're getting certain numbers from a debugging perspective, the data flow diagrams really does give you a great visualization into how data is flowing between cubes. Well, as I mentioned, Performance Modeler is now a lot more comprehensive and a lot more powerful than ever before. I know previous versions of Performance Modeler was a little bit buggy, and people had problems with it. They couldn't do everything that they needed to be able to do. IBM has taken great strides to remedy a lot of those problems that were experienced in the past. This interface, and I'll show it to you in a second, it really is easy to use. It allows you to expand your TM1 reach outside of finance. In a lot of cases we find that your performance management is all contained within finance. That's where the business rules are. That's where the skills tend to be. This application now, Performance Modeler, really does allow you to expand beyond that. So if you're thinking of pushing this out to HR or to sales or to any of the other areas within your organization, this tool will really help you with that. Okay, let me show you a quick overview of Performance Modeler. How are we doing for time?
12:48.
Okay, so I'll pick this up really quickly now. I want to make sure that we hit on everything. So okay, so we've already seen this. So again, whether you are building your application, building your metrics, or actually defining your application, it's all done here in Performance Modeler. So it's a single place to do it all. I'm going to start off taking a quick look at links. So links were previously there. This is something that was part of the old version of Performance Modeler. The ability to auto-link dimensions across. You can set up your own manual mappings. The ability to implement the link as a rule or a process, that's all still there. You also hear what's really nice, this is a new add, is the ability to generate drill throughs. So we can generate a drill through option. So that drill through and define it over here. So it's easy to use. It's exposed to the user. You don't have to try and navigate through code to try to do that. Okay. Cube calculations. This is a great ad. Let me show you over here. So previously we had rules that you had to go and navigate through your rules to try and find your calculations. Now they're all listed for you, so you can they're all named. You can jump straight to them, and it brings out over here your calculation, so you can have your leaf. In this case, it's combined, both leaf and consolidated. Or you can have a leaf calculation or a consolidated calculation. You have the ability to bring in data from different cubes. So just like we saw a link at the cube level, you can define links at the cell level. You can control the scope of the calculation. So it's really as simple as dragging and dropping dimensions from the cube into the calculation to control the scope. It has a number of wizards that help you build your averages or your more complex calculations. So these are all redefined for you on the left. It tells you on the right-hand side what's wrong with your calculation, so you can make sure that you get it correct. So this is real time. As you make changes, it affects it on the left, on the right. And a number of the TM1 functions are exposed out for you. So you don't have to go and say, well, what was the function I should be using? It's here. It's as simple as a drag and drop to get it into the calculation. Okay. You also have the ability to change dimensionality on the fly. So I can drag and drop a dimension and put it directly onto the cube. I'm not going to do it, obviously, but I can drag and drop. I can remove existing dimensions. And the great thing about this is that it doesn't break your cube calculations or your dimension level calculations. So they really have done a lot there. Jump real quick into dimension editing. Highlight a couple of things. Again, you have your dimension level calculations, so your expressions. These will obviously apply to all cubes that use this dimension. You have the ability here to define pick lists. So this is a lot of functionality that was always there, but they really exposed it in an easy to use manner. So you can define your own list, or you can link it into another dimension, etc. Okay. You also have the ability to do guided imports. So let me just right click up here. Let me just show you a quick guided import. So if you want to bring data in from a flat file, this will generate a TI process. Click on Browse and Actuals and Targets, and it'll take me through, and there's a wizard that's going to take you through all the different components. For the EP cut guys out there, you have the transfer in. So if you've exported your EP model, you can create this guided the transfer in, and this will read your export and show you how it's going to bring it across into the model. So you can actually control that. Okay. Okay, finally onto deployment. There's a lot of capabilities here that we've seen that drive across the entire solution, and every part of the application has been affected by these themes. Really, the two big things here with deployment is cloud and the operations console. So let's take a quick look at the ops console. Some of the new features of the operation console is there's a new URL to run it. A default admin group has been added to the console, and more events can be logged than previously. And now you get email and alerts that can be sent out to you based on the state of the server. Here's a quick screenshot of what the console looks like, and some of all the features that we've already touched on. There's a couple of different views that you can use. There's the runtime expert that gives power users and application designers the ability to answer questions such as what is it doing now. It gives you detailed logging that gives you the ability to do analysis of events. You have the IT operations or support team view, and that gives those responsible for maintaining production levels of service for the TM1 environment immediate feedback to the status of the service. So you can add a glance, you can see how it's doing. And then finally, you get the dashboard, which provides overall insight into the overall performance of the TM1 server. Okay, so my last slide for the day, and I'm going to hand it back to Jesse with 5 minutes to spare. This release is really big. We've touched on a lot of different components. I haven't been able to go into nearly as much detail as I would have liked to. But you can see that IBM continues to deliver interactive real-time planning and reporting. It gives you modeling, scale, and sophistication. You can deploy your multiple deployment operations and allows you to do more than ever before. There's more deployment options. You have scorecarding capabilities, really great Excel add-in, a modern look and feel for TM1 Web, and probably the most important thing is performance. Okay, it truly excels at allowing customers to create a performance management system that reflects the complex aspects of your individual business and allows you to scale out to different types of users. Okay, thanks very much, and I'm going to hand over to Jesse now and talk a little bit about licensing.
So I've already received several licensing questions, so I'll try to go over those with these couple of slides. We have about 5 minutes left. Anyone who has specific questions on what Steve covered today, please submit through the chat window, and we will attempt to get them answered right now. Also on the polls, just to brief everyone, there was a couple polls we went through. The first was what version of TM1 you're currently running. We had a couple EP customers on the call today. The vast majority of folks, a 5-to-1 ratio, were on TM1 10.2, so that's good to see. Those of you who are still on 9X, I believe there's an end of support coming up in September here, I believe. So, now is certainly the time to start considering your upgrade. One of the other polls we asked was, what tools are people currently using to model? Are people starting to use more of Cognos Insight? Are people starting to use Performance Modeler more? We're starting to see some of that. So the Architect remains the primary tool people are using. Based on what Steve just showed with the TM1 10.2, we hope that you're going to find more and more people using Performance Modeler, and it should expedite your modeling process. Okay, now for a license overview, so current licensing, there's 3 levels of user roles if you're currently a TM1 customer. We have TM1 modelers that are basically administrators. We have TM1 contributors who are people who can write back to cubes, contribute to a plan. And then TM1 explorers who are your read-only users. That's the current 10.1 licensing. There's probably several people on the phone that still have legacy Applix licensing. So that means since IBM bought Applix, you haven't converted it over to Passport Advantage yet. If you haven't, there's some of these new capabilities you can't take advantage of yet. So consider converting. One way of telling is you'll see the word FTP in your renewal. Also, your licenses typically would say enterprise planning in it. If you have any questions on your licensing, feel free to reach out directly to us after this webinar. So that's the current 10.1 user roles. In 10.2, a couple of the roles the names are changing. So the TM1 modeler role is now called IBM Cognos Performance Management Modeler. And the contributor role is now IBM Cognos Performance Management User. Okay. The new capabilities that Steve described earlier for us, so the Cafe capabilities and the mobile contributor capability within the iPad, your users who are currently contributors, now renamed Performance Management Users, are going to get this new functionality. So you're going to have the ability to use Cafe. You're going to have the ability to start using the mobile contributor app. So there's no additional upcharges from your contributor users to go use that capability. If anyone has any questions on licensing, again, with this new model, we'd be happy to provide any analysis of your current config and recommendations. But really good news here, your S&S investment, again, coming through IBM, including these new capabilities, without any additional cost to you, for at least your contributors and the house. in TM1 10.2. So that's good news. All right, it's 12:59. We have about 1 minute left. So there's one last poll I just want to run on our next topic. So we'll start that momentarily. What we're planning in Q4 is more of a deep dive into performance modeler beyond what Steve just showed us today, and then a more of a deep dive into scorecards. Again, keep LTA in mind for your upgrade assessment or conversion from EP, license questions, renewals, trade up, training, and implementation. All right, we've got about 1 minute here, so I'm gonna go ahead and field a couple of these questions. The first is, can I download the latest version now? And the answer is yes. If your maintenance is up to date, you should see TM1 10.2 available in the software access catalog. So one of the questions, Steve, is in regards to comparing perspectives to CAFE, right? So you mentioned earlier, perspectives isn't going anywhere. It's still there, your capability is still there. In this, can you kind of differentiate on some of the things that CAFE can do better and some of the things that CAFE can't do yet that perspectives can?
Sure. So let me start off by saying that CAFE does not replace perspectives. It may do so in the future. The goal is to eventually align the two, but right now the two are going to run independently. When it does, the goal is that things such as formulas and action buttons that are not available in CAFE today, that are available in perspectives, that's most likely when it's going to replace it. When to use CAFE is for things like if you're building new reports and new applications, that would be a great example. If you don't require the DBRW formula, that's a really great opportunity too. Most importantly, bandwidth. You know, if you're constrained by bandwidth, some of the improvements in CAFE, the way that they move the data backwards and forwards, really improve it. And for when to use perspectives, on the flip side, what you've currently got today. Keep using what you've got. There's no need to replace it if it's not broken. Again, if you need to use the DBRW formula, if you're doing something that's complex that you won't be able to do it, that would be a good example.
Okay. One of the questions is in regards to the EP to TM1 conversion utility. I think you largely covered that. So any additional questions, please ask them through the chat window. But it looks like it's 1:02. We got a couple more questions here. We'll follow up with you directly if we didn't answer your question. Following this webinar, you're going to get an email from us that includes a link to the playback of this, as well as some of the artifacts that Steve referenced, for example, iPad app where you could download it, things like that. You can follow up with that email with any additional questions you have. If you're interested in an upgrade assessment, follow up in that email and we'll reach out to you right away. All right, I want to thank everyone for attending today's webinar, and be on the lookout for our next one, which will be coming up shortly here early in the fourth quarter. And thank you for your time today, everyone.